This is a podcast from Torfaen Voluntary Alliance. Hello, I'm Patrick Downs. Welcome to Word from the Third, where we'll be taking a look at all the big stories and news from the third sector here in Torfaen. Joined today then by Carole from Friends of the Earth Torfaen. But tell me, what do they do here in Torfaen?
Well, mantra of Torfaen is, Friends of the Earth in Torfaen, is think global, act local. And that means that anything that affects the world globally also affects us. And we have to interpret that with the way we live our lives in Torfaen and how individuals can influence policymakers in order to make the right decisions.
What difference do you think you make in the borough?
Awareness of a lot of the issues. Sometimes they're not perceived as issues, particularly within planning. I do a lot with planning because we started with the South Sebastopol development as a protest group and not as a Friends of the Earth group in 1996. And so we have a lot of experience with regard to interpreting the plans and how they might affect people in all sorts of ways to do with their environmental benefit.
What do you think is the most enjoyable aspect of what Friends of the Earth does in Torfaen?
Seeing the appreciation from people we've helped. We've helped individual groups who've been asked to come to us to ask for help, particularly with a local planning issue. We've supported individuals in that way as well. I have submitted comments to planning applications and also spoken at the committee meetings and council meetings where they needed support. We've done a lot of campaigning with local stalls at things like Cumbran at the festivals and Pontypool and Blaenavon. We've also done a lot of fun things with fundraising. We've held competitions for poetry and photography. We've engaged with a lot of events within churches where they've had festivals like the Christmas tree festivals in St Hilda's Church, where we've decorated our Christmas tree, for instance, with a sun on top instead of a star, and the effects the sun is having on the global warming by the melting of the snows, and using the tinsel and things like that. And at the bottom of the tree we had what looked like floating islands with polar bears on them and houses to give the idea that while we're celebrating Christmas, which is great, we must also be aware of the effects of some of our interpretations of how we celebrate have on the world with regard to energy use.
Now, if I could grant a wish for Friends of the Earth in Torfaen, what would that be?
I'd like to see young people, and I think this affects a lot of groups, not just Friends of the Earth. Young people have very busy lives. I can appreciate that. We would like just to engage with them to see how we can help them express their voices, because I know environment is a big issue with young people and I don't want them to feel helpless. There are movements happening outside of Friends of the Earth. There are lots of campaign groups and I can put them in touch with lots of those. I have memberships in various other things like Greenpeace, Marinette. I'm a member of the Gwent Wildlife Trust. There's lots of things that they can do with the Gwent Wildlife Trust in terms of actually doing things on the ground. I know young people like to be physically active, perhaps more than us older ones. They can get engaged in things like restoration of wildlife sites and things like that. I'm also represent Friends of the Earth on the Nature Partnership of Torfaen and Blaenau Gwent, and part of that network is to network out a lot of the opportunities for volunteering. If I knew of people who were interested in things like that, without necessarily being having to tie up into a formal membership, I'm more than happy to put those opportunities out to them via email. Meetings and community gatherings, sometimes they're not everybody's cup of tea with young people. They like to do their own thing. Those are the things that I would like to be able to engage young people on.
So in Torfaen, how can people get involved? What do they need to do to get in touch with you?
We have a Facebook group and a Twitter account. We also have a contact via Friends of the Earth UK. If you just Google Friends of the Earth and you want to get in contact with any local group, and they will give you a contact. We still have the Facebook group and the Twitter account, and you can in fact, as I say, engage via the Friends of the Earth UK website. to find your local group, and they will give you my email address.
Carole from Friends of the Earth here in Torfaen, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Patrick, for the opportunity.
And don't forget, if you want to contact TVA, Torfaen Voluntary Alliance, for anything regarding the third sector here in Torfaen, get in touch regarding funding, volunteering, any kind of support or governance. info@tvawales.org.uk. You can also find us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at TVA Wales, or of course on the website. It's all there at tvawales.org.uk. This podcast is produced by TVA, Torfaen Voluntary Alliance.